Hello, and welcome to the Wooden Ball Show. I am your host, Dave Ball, also known as Blinson on Reddit and at Blinson1 on Twitter. And like always, I am joined by my partner in crime, Blake, who is known as Shatten My Kirk on Twitter and B-Town Bomb on Reddit. And joining us today, we have a special guest from Flames fandom, known as Bardia, also known as Easy Real Penta on Reddit. I think that's how it's pronounced. And I think they're still working on their mic, so they can't talk right now. But why don't you say something, Blake? How you doing?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I've never been this excited about a loss. It's not the loss I'm more excited about. Of course, I'm talking about the World Cup and the United States national team advancing to the round of 16.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is actually the first game I ever watched during the World Cup this year. And by watched, I mean listened to on the radio.
Soccer on the radio.
Yeah, so exciting.
It's very unique.
Yeah. I think Bardia, is your mic working now?
Yeah, I'm here
How you
representing the
doing?
Calgary Flames.
How you
I'm
doing?
doing fine.
That's
I'm doing
good.
fine.
So welcome to the Wooden Ball Show.
Delighted to be here.
One of the first things we're gonna end up talking about, I don't know if you want to join in on this for us, is NHL Quick Hits, which basically is when we go down some of the things that have happened in the hockey world.
All right.
And one of the first things that I am now being forced to talk about, and Blake for some reason just dropped, so um, it's Hartnell and him being traded to the Calgary Flames for R.J. Umberger and a fourth round pick. If you don't know, I'm a Flyers fan, so
All right.
I am in big denial about this happening.
Yes, pardon me. I am back.
Welcome back, Blake. Yeah, we're starting on Hartnell now, Blake.
Yes. Now, folks, I did have to do a little convincing to get Dave to agree to discuss this story, of course. But it's a big thing that happened, and most definitely the beginning of the silly season. I don't know if Dave went over the trade details, but Philadelphia gets R.J. Umberger back, and Columbus will get Scott Hartnell.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a great trade for Columbus, as Hartnell put up 52 points this season in 78 games.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, I don't know what Philadelphia was thinking, but I think they may think that Umberger is a good player, which he's a great player, but definitely not worth the trade for them.
No, definitely not. I mean, the big thing with Umberger and Hartnell is Hextall came out and says the reason he did the trade was because he wanted speed. The Flyers are not a fast team, despite what their name suggests.
Yeah.
And Hartnell is probably one of the worst skaters in the NHL for as far as good players go. And as you know, he has a charity based around himself falling. But we'll see if that really does get us to become faster. So.
Yeah.
And I would say that Jarmo Kekalainen, the Columbus GM, one of his greatest tricks was convincing Ron Hextall that R.J. Umberger was the speed they needed.
Yeah, he was going hard after Hartnell, from what we understand. He wanted Hartnell, and for some reason we felt like we should trade him. But I guess it could have been worse. We could have traded a different slow player that we have, because we have many of them. It could have been Sean Couturier, who is actually not that fast. Grossman, one of our big defensemen, isn't fast whatsoever. So if it had to come to slow players, I guess it's best that it was Hartnell of all people.
I think this is good for Umberger because he lives near. He was born in Pennsylvania, and if I'm not mistaken, his parents still live in Pennsylvania, and it'll probably make him play much better because he's with his family and all.
I mean, he's played for the Flyers beforehand, so this isn't the first time around. But yeah, he's happy to come back here because this is the only Pennsylvania team he's ever known. Really.
It's the only Pennsylvania team in the league, right, Dave?
Yeah. The other Pennsylvania team doesn't exist. They're that bad. At least when they play us, they're that bad.
And their coach, eh?
Yes.
I haven't looked into their coach right now. Actually, I haven't looked into him. How is he?
He seems pretty good actually. I don't know.
His last coaching gig, I believe, was the Portland Winterhawks of the WHL.
I mean, he doesn't really seem that known, but I feel like he'll do pretty good with the Penguins. The Penguins aren't really a playoff, like they usually do really bad in the playoffs. They do decent in the regular season, but you know, hopefully they do well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was good on Pittsburgh to not go for the high profile coaches. That's usually a good move when teams will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't many high-profile coaches left, really, at the moment. I mean, the only one left was Tortorella, and I doubt he would come to Pittsburgh.
Tortorella is never going to come to Pittsburgh.
No.
I mean, it would be the best thing to ever happen, but it won't happen. I would just love to see him try to start yelling at Crosby and Malkin, and being John Tortorella, and I would love it. It would be the best shit show in the world. Oh, and by the way, Blake, the Oilers person actually emailed me back, so we might be adding him in.
Yes,
so we actually
maybe we
could
can
have a
get
big
him
show.
in eventually. There we are.
Yeah.
Um,
So I guess we're actually going to slide into the new coach for the Penguins now, fully. What was his name again? Too many tabs to even find it.
something Johnston, I think. Johnston or Johnson or something like that.
Mike Johnston.
Okay.
Yes.
That's his name, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he'll be better than Balsma, I hopefully feel. He'll probably be able to adapt to actual gameplay.
And that was Bilesma's biggest issue, was at adapting, and his inability and or downright refusal to do so.
Yeah, I mean, that was painfully obvious during the Olympics when the America just kind of shit the bed during their last 2 games.
Yeah.
And he did nothing to try to fix it.
And if I was a Pittsburgh fan watching that, I would have been deathly worried there.
I mean, that was kind of the beginning for the end for him. So. Okay, I guess, what's next?
I don't remember what else was on the...
This is your topic, Blake.
Yes. This happened just within the past hour, I believe. This is still a fairly new, fairly fresh topic, and it's a really interesting one, too. On the surface, Blues forward Patrick Berglund re-signs with St. Louis, gets a 3-year deal, $11 million. But when you look deeper in it, that would really fuel some of the trade rumors and speculations that have been with them since really just day one of our off season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Armstrong's just preparing the contract for whoever he's going to ship him off to.
You gonna try to get Paul Stastny in also?
I think we're really going after Spezza at this point.
You guys think you're gonna get him?
I'm actually really quite confident. Yeah.
What would you give up
Spezza?
for him? So, I'll go ahead.
Spezza was, he gave a list to the general manager of the Ottawa Senators saying he wants to play a team that doesn't play against the Ottawa Senators often, and I think he would be an extremely good fit in the Blues.
I mean, you guys are truly searching for that number 2 center, and Spezza's a pretty good center, so...
Yes. Very good number 2 center, of course, yes.
Yeah.
But Stastny was there kind of at the beginning, but...
I just want him to go to someplace else so you eat a hat.
Yes. If he doesn't go here, I know the New York Rangers have also shown interest in Stastny.
But I don't think he wants to go there because that's where players go for their careers to die.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens.
So that's going to be a really interesting trade day or draft day for us tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to draft day because normally the hometown team does something big during draft day.
Yeah.
Like last year.
Last year, the Corey Schneider trade. Year before that was the Jordan Stahl trade. And this year it's in Philadelphia. And, I mean, we already made our big trade. I just wonder what else we could do, because I know Vinny is on his way out. They constantly keep trying to shop him. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, so one of the next things we have to talk about is somebody else that's hitting free agency. It's Jerome Aginglaw. He's hitting free agency, leaving the Boston Bruins, which surprises me greatly because he did very good with them this year.
Yeah, considering his age, he played extremely well. You know, he kept up with the more younger players in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
He scored how many? He scored almost over 30 goals this year again, didn't he?
Yeah. And I think he was maybe second or third in points, or maybe even first. I don't know, but he was definitely up there for the Boston Bruins.
Yeah. That surprises me that he's not going to want to stay.
I heard Detroit might want to pick up Jerome McGinley. I'm not sure though.
They always want to pick up the aging players.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's 36 years old, so he's not terribly old. He can still play at 36.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have Yager at 42, so.
But there's still that bit of a risk to take. You know, maybe this next season
he won't do as
the
well.
season where he won't do as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on if teams just want to sign him, however much they would sign him for, however long. There's still that bit of a risk factor there.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he really deserves a cup though. I mean, he has Olympic gold in his belt. You know, he has the junior Olympic gold in his belt, and getting a cup for him would be really, really good.
I hate that word deserve
Yeah.
when you talk about a cup. No one really deserves a cup. They work hard, and you have to win the cup.
Yeah.
You never deserve one.
Yeah, you're right on that aspect.
But he's definitely a person that has worked hard his entire career to get one. So if anybody's close to the word deserve, it should be him. But again,
Yes,
no one deserves.
I will say he may be the exception to that rule.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so any other stuff to talk about in the hockey world before we head into the
I did hear, courtesy of Dave Gove, LA Kings Dave, I did hear that Willie Mitchell is on his way out of Los Angeles.
Yeah, that was on our hockey also.
Mm-hmm.
And that surprises me. You would think they would try to keep as many of their players as possible.
You would think that, but you see with most teams that win a Stanley Cup, they'll get rid of some people. Case in point, the last two Chicago Blackhawks teams to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, their 2010 team was decimated afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the team after that, they get rid of Boland and Stahlberg and Frolik. Mm-hmm.
Well, they have trouble managing the cap over there, I guess.
Yes, that was the main reason why. I would think they would have loved to have kept him there for at least another year or whatever, but they just can't afford him anymore.
Yeah. And that brings us into our next thing. Kane and Taves might be wanting a $12 million a year for the next extensions. Do you guys think that is worthy of their play?
I think they're kind of taking advantage of Chicago.
Yeah.
They know that Chicago really, really needs them, and I think they're just really trying to take advantage of Chicago, which is not a good move for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if that's true, they could just be highballing it because it's initially asked.
Yeah, that's
you highball really high, so when you go down, it seems like you gave up a lot.
That's what I was thinking too. They want to get the reaction from Bowman when they list off these prices. They'll start with $12 million. They might kind of compromise on a lower price a few times maybe, They just want to get the reaction from the front office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll see what kind of falls up there. We have a long way to go in the off season. I mean, I think they're still under cap for the next year coming up, right? I'll check that right now. Actually, they're still under cap this coming year. Chicago. Yeah, they're still under cap for this coming year. Oh, they're both gonna be getting double what they make now, basically. They're both already making 6.3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of money.
I think a really interesting scenario, just throwing scenarios out there. What if Kane was to go somewhere else, but they really wanted to keep Taves?
Come to Philly. You were supposed to be here to begin with.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same. Kane would be a great fit in Philly.
He was supposed to be ours to begin with. We were last place during his draft year.
He could go to his hometown team, be a Buffalo Sabre.
Nah. Oh, wait. Isn't everyone was supposed to go to Buffalo for their hometown team? I mean, wasn't Callahan supposed to go up there this year?
Well.
But he just signed the 6-year deal with
Yes. There's been a lot of re-signings. Also. Ryan Callahan gets re-signed by Tampa Bay. A 6-year deal, I believe that was. I can't remember the price tag on it. But
I don't. Was that ever released, the price tag?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
I'll look it up then.
But that one was kind of interesting because I kind of felt there were like mixed reactions coming out of the Tampa Bay camp. Maybe he'll want to go somewhere else. Maybe he'll want to be here, or definitely for either one of those. I wasn't sure what they were going to do with him.
He was signed to $5.8 million a year until 2019-2020. So.
And the Los Angeles Kings re-signed Marion Gaborik to a 7-year deal. Again, I can't remember the price tag on it. I know it was
like
released.
$5 million. I think it was like $5 million. It was,
okay. Yeah.
It was pretty cheap for, what Gaborik brings to their team.
And that's a really good move there. I will say that may be why they can't afford Mitchell anymore. But
exactly what it is.
But that was a really good move there.
He brought a lot to their team during the playoffs.
Yes, I think Gaborik's finally found a place he can call home. He's finally found that team that suits him best.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the Kings are going to re-sign him?
They already did.
Oh, they did? Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, he was a 7-year deal for $4.875, so under $5 million.
Okay, then that's his new home then.
Yeah. And he's signed until 2021. So I see we have the Oilers fan in here now. If his mic's working, that is. No?
Oilers fans, Battle of Alberta.
Yeah, that's what we're calling this one. Aiden? I think that's his name. Aiden, are you here? No? Okay.
No. Now, as a side note, I've been told by my Canadian friends that Alberta is basically Canada's Texas. I'm from Texas, but I'm not really sure Alberta would fit. I was thinking more Saskatchewan, but I don't know.
Digress.
I do digress. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I guess we're waiting for his mic to start working. We'll hop into the Flames section. And that's where
the Flames.
Yes.
Our part 3 of our 30-part series on NHL Overview, where we review the Calgary Flames season. We look ahead into the off-season, what the needs for the team will be, and how you would see Calgary do in the draft. And we're going to begin with looking over the season. You bring in a lot of young talent too, especially Sean Monahan, and kind of interesting situation with Camilleri. Those I think were maybe the two biggest stories from the Calgary camp. But I guess maybe touch on those two guys and just talk about the season as a whole.
Yeah, I think Sean Monahan had a really, really good season. Brian Burke put him on a 1 week hold where he could play a trial of 1 week, and he played amazing in that week. And Brian Burke doesn't really like Monahan playing his first season, but he let him play the whole season, and he played absolutely astonishing. He's going to be the franchise player for the Calgary Flames. I also think there's also a player called Johnny Gaudreau. Johnny Gaudreau was a leading scorer in the NCAA, and he got one of the awards for the best player of the NCAA. He played really astonishing too, and his first game with the Calgary Flames, he scored a goal. So I think he's also going to be part of our rebuilding process. I think Camilleri should definitely reconsider staying with Calgary. If not, I think he could maybe move back with Montreal if Montreal would want him. Either way, Camilleri is a great fit for the Calgary Flames, and he's a really, really big process. He's in the process of rebuilding the young guys.
Now, there's also the goalie situation, I guess, could be the word for that, with Kari Ramo and whoever else is in there. I can't remember. I do remember looking at Kari Ramo's stats from the KHL. He was a really lights out, incredible goalie. But then he comes to Calgary, and he doesn't do as well. But I kind of felt there was misplaced blame for that one. I noticed a lot of people kind of calling for Ramos' head there, I guess. I guess talk about the goalie situation, which goalie you'd rather see, and
about that. Kari Ramo is a pretty good goaltender, and he played amazing in the KHL. And he didn't do as well for the Calgary Flames, but the first half of the season, he really, really, he was not confident. He was worried going into the new season, a brand new team in the NHL. He was worried about the top scorers. He was worried about, play against like the top big guys. But he picked himself up in the second half. After that injury, he really did really well. I think he will be a pretty good stint for our team. I think we still need a really, really good top goalie because Kari Ramo can't be playing all of our games. But we have really good talent in our goalies. We have John Gillis, which was the goalie for the junior USA team, and we have Ordio, which is he was the backup for the farm team in the AHL. And overall, I think we have some good goalies, but we still need a number one goalie that can play for our team until the young guys pick it up and become better players.
And that's a good segue into the draft coming up here tomorrow, and talking about what Calgary would do in the draft. Would you see Calgary going for drafting a goaltender, or where else would you see a need that will be addressed in the draft?
If you look at the top picks for this year, who's going to go first, who's going to go second, like mock drafts, I honestly think Calgary's not going to go for a goaltender. They might pull off a trade or maybe get in a goaltender maybe in the later rounds, but they definitely need one of the top big guys that are in the draft right now. I think they might go for maybe Michael Dalcol or Leon Draisaitl, or maybe even some other top players like Reinhart or Ekblad or Bennett. It really depends on what Buffalo picks and what Florida picks and what Edmonton picks.
And this is also it was a two-part segue, really, because now we'll look into the off-season and look at free market and trading. And this is kind of a two-part question. What would you personally like to see Calgary's front office do, and would it compare to what you think they would end up doing?
Yeah, I think they really, really, really need to sign Camilleri back to a contract, maybe a 3-year contract with the Calgary Flames. I think he's a really, really good player. And there's been talks that he doesn't want to join the team again, and there's been talks that he wants to join the team again. Right now, no one knows for sure except for the head office. And maybe if they can pick up another top scorer or another top forward, or maybe even a defenseman or goalie, anything right now would be really good for Calgary. But I wouldn't expect them to make any big trades or any big free agents signings. I think they're just going to stick with their players and let them rebuild. And if they do, this goes on with what Burke said. He wants a quick rebuild. He wants a rebuild to be fast. He doesn't want to be patient with the rebuild because he knows our players are almost NHL ready. And I agree with that, but for some points I don't, because you look at players like Johnny Gaudreau and Morgan Klimchuk and Emile Poirier, and they're not NHL ready yet. They could be in maybe like 2 or 3 years, but they're not ready yet.
Hello.
And about that, yeah.
Hello.
And now that I think about it, we have discussed Calgary's forward depth, and all that in their goaltending. But let's talk about the defense. Calgary's defense has been the most interesting aspect of the team, in my view. Just looking at the past 2 or 3 years, you trade Jay Bouwmeester to St. Louis. Thank you for him, by the way. After you get rid of Iginla, you name Giordano captain. It's been really interesting to me in that point. It's I guess where would you see Calgary's defense right now, and how would you rate it?
When I look at Calgary's defense, I look only at Mark Giordano, and maybe TJ Brody is also really good. But when you're looking at Calgary's defense, you got Chris Butler. I think we should really get rid of him. Chris Butler is sometimes he plays really well some games, and he plays really bad some games. That really has to do with he's a clutch player. He doesn't really fit in Calgary. He fits more in like a top tier team. I think Giordano is a really, really underrated defenseman. He's a captain. He led the team. He really brought them to what they are today. If he wasn't on the team, I don't know where Calgary would be. I think they'd probably be last. And they have their leadership. They're a good leader. One of the Calgary Flames' advantages are their leadership, and that comes from Mark Giordano. He's got character. He's got grit. And one of the problems with him though is he's not as mobile as you would like him to be. And I think they should really pick up more mobile offensive defensemen, because their defense is some kind of I can't really describe it. It's really interesting how they play. They play more of a hybrid type of defensive game, and getting an offensive mobile defenseman would really, really fit into their criteria for their team. And you look at their prospects for the defensemen. They have Patrick Styloff, they have Witherspoon, they have Culkin. They've all played really good, especially Tyler Witherspoon. He had a stint with the Calgary Flames for about a week, and he played pretty good actually, considering it was his first NHL games.
Now this will bring us into looking ahead into next season. I know it's difficult to predict looking ahead into next season without perhaps not having the same team as you will next season, but I guess where would you see Calgary in the standings? Would you perhaps see a little bit of an uptick, or would they remain the same, or even go down a spot or two?
Calgary, Bob Hartley has done an amazing job at putting into the prospects' minds and the players' minds that we're not here to tank for draft. We're not trying to tank to get draft picks. We're really trying to put out as much effort as we can every night. And considering our players are going to get better and better, I think we're just going to keep going higher in the standings every year. Next year, I think we're just going to be a tad bit better. Considering we have a new prospect that we draft tomorrow, which really depends on who it is. If we get Ekblad, I think, which is really highly unlikely, but if we get him, I think we're going to be much higher in the standings, maybe 3 or 4 spots higher. If we get other players like Sam Bennett, Reinhardt, or Michael Del Cole, or Draisaitl, we're probably going to go up 1 or 2 spots, which is fine by me. But it really depends on how our rookies do and how our prospects do for the season.
Now let's do this just for fun, I guess. Give us a timetable, like say less than 5 years, less than 10 years, whatever. Give us a timetable of when you could see Calgary being a playoff contender.
I think it's definitely going to be less than 5 years. I mean, our players are showing really good progress. You know, Michael Backlund has been doing absolutely astonishing this year, considering what he did last year and 2 years ago. It wasn't, you know, Burke and the old GM was they were really skeptical with him, and you know, if the players like Michael Backlund and Camilleri, if he gets re-signed, or Johnny Gaudreau, Sean Monahan, if all these players step up like Matt Stajan has got a good season. You know, if he steps up, like if they all step up like this, I think less than 5 years we should be a pretty good playoff contender, and maybe less than 10 years we'll be a Stanley Cup contender. It really depends on, how our rookies play and how they decide to step up.
Now, a couple of other miscellaneous tidbit questions regarding the upcoming season. Who do you see would be Calgary's leading points getter and or goal scorer?
I think maybe in 2-3 seasons it would definitely be Sean Monahan. I mean, he's been showing really good progress. You know, he's I think one of the highest scorers for Calgary, and if he keeps continuing on the road like this, playing the two-way forward, two-way center game, I think he could be one of the best players in the league. Maybe in less than 5 years. Well, maybe in less than 10 years actually. He's really showing a lot of progress. He's big, he's gritty, he's fast, he's got good hands, he has a good shot, and the best thing I like about him is his hockey IQ. He really knows where to be and when to be there. And I think he'll be stepping up really well.
Alrighty. Who do you think would be the overall offense, defense, goaltending for the next season? Who do you see being the top overall standout player?
I think the top overall standout player will probably either be Johnny Gaudreau, or Sean Monahan. Gaudreau scoring something like 80 points in 40 games was absolutely astonishing. This kid has potential. The only problem I see with Gaudreau, and the only reason he wasn't drafted really high, and the reason why teams don't necessarily want him, is because his size. I think he's maybe like 5'9", 5'10", something like that. And he's definitely trying to get big over the summer, which I heard. And that was a problem with Calgary. They really wanted to re-sign him, but Gaudreau's parents were really thinking about it because he's small, he's going to get pushed around in the NHL. But if he really dedicates himself to getting big, to putting on a bit more muscle, and overall becoming a better player, I think it could be Gaudreau being our standout player and being really clutch at situations where we really need him.
And finally, if things were to get downhill pretty quickly for Calgary, who would you see on the team being that public enemy number one, being the player that'll be thrown under the bus?
I think it's probably, people might target me for this, but I think it might be Giordano, because this guy is basically the heart of the team. He's the person that calls the shots every game. He motivates the players. He gives them speech before the game. He does really well every night. And if he plays bad, the players will go downhill, and they'll be back on a bad track. And he won't be public enemy number one, but people will definitely blame him for bringing the team down. I also think maybe the goaltending. If the goaltending isn't as well, the Flames fans might not be as happy with the goaltender, and it really depends on who is the leader and who does the worst. The leader can't show weakness, and if the leader shows weakness, he's gonna get thrown under the bus, and he's gonna be public enemy number one.
Alrighty, and this will conclude this segment of the Calgary Flames, the third part of our 30-part series of the NHL team-by-team overview. I see Dave has unmuted his mic.
Yes, I am.
And now Dave will take over with Aiden here, our Oilers fan, and he will continue with part 4 of our 30-part series of the NHL team overview, this time with the Edmonton Oilers. We are now joined by Aiden. I believe his Reddit username would be City of Champs.
I believe so. How you doing, Aiden?
Yes, that is me.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you for letting me be on the show.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. You know how hard it is to try to find Oilers fans that can join us on this. Seems like there's none of you out there.
And now I'm flipping you off. Okay, let's go. Questions. I'm ready.
Okay, you sure you're ready for this? Okay, the first thing we want to go is, what do you think about the season you had, and how much did you cry during it?
The season we had was pretty bad. We started off the year with a bunch of injuries, starting with Nuge's shoulder and Gagne's broken jaw. Thank you, Cassian. We started off the season pretty shitty, and at one point we lost I think we only won 3 out of 18 at one point, and it was depressing. I did not shed a tear though. I should have. I probably will. But there's no tears shed.
I'm not sure if you're old enough, but how much alcohol was consumed during this portion of the season?
I'm under the age of 18,
okay,
so 0.
0. Okay, then. I wasn't sure. Okay,
oh
so
boy, he had to go through that whole season sober.
I'm so sorry for you. I know I'm a Flyers fan, so trying to go through the beginning of the season for me,
the Flyers. Oh man, I think they were last for the beginning of the season.
At least they made the playoffs.
Yeah, we started off 30th place. We were worse than Buffalo at one point.
And I remember Drew was.
Hey, by the way, you're welcome for letting Claude Giroux get his first goal against us, and that's basically what sparked him. You're welcome.
Thank you for that.
I remember that game. It was an afternoon game on a Saturday. I was watching it with my brother, so.
I remember that game too. We were all so excited. That was one of my first game threads I believe I've hosted. But ended up making me become mod of our Flyers.
No, I remember my brother even called it. He said, if Claude Giroux is going to score a goal this season, it's going to be against us, and it's going to be today.
Oh.
He should totally predict next year the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Pardon?
He should totally predict the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup next season. Okay, so I guess we'll go into the next section of our thing, which will be the off season.
Now, if I may, I did have a couple follow-up questions regarding the past season too. I think one of the more biggest moves outside of goaltending that Edmonton made was before the season started, the off season before this one, in which you give St. Louis Magnus Pay-RV, and in return you get David Perron.
Yeah.
Would you say that that move benefited you? And I guess just talk about Perron specifically here, and talk about how he has fared for your team so far.
Well, Perron was a great addition to the team compared to Magnus Pay-RV. Magnus Pay-RV seemed like he would have been on the third line for us this year. Don't get me wrong, he would have been a great third-line player, but Perron just boosted our whole top six. I think he got his career high in points in and around 60. He had like 29 goals. Can't remember how many assists, but he scored his career high on the Oilers, so that's pretty good achievement. When I first saw the Perron trade, I was very surprised. The thing about us giving up the second for him is we currently do not have a pick till the 4th round, 91st overall from Buffalo, which we got in the Brizgalov trade, but we have the 3rd pick and then the 91st.
And that's a good segue into goaltending. There was a really interesting cast of goaltenders for Edmonton this season. You start out with Brizgalov, send him off to Minnesota, and now you end up with Ben Scrivens and Victor Foss. Talk about the goaltending tandem there for a bit, and which goalie you prefer, and just your overall thoughts on that.
Well, we started off the year with Mr. Devin Dubnyk, who came off a very outstanding season previously, but then again it was a lockout-shortened season. But he came out of the gate pretty bad. Like I said, we lost 3 of 18, and we got Brizgalov out of the ECHL. And just a fun fact about Brizgalov, he's the first Edmonton Oiler to ever wear the number 80. But Brizgalov came in, and LaBarbera was traded to Chicago. And Brizgalov, I don't think he turned it around, but he helped our team not suck as much as we did.
He's definitely
And
one of those
then,
goaltenders like that. So
pardon?
he's definitely one of the goaltenders that he's not a bad goaltender. He just needs the right type of cast
Sorry,
in front of him.
I'm lagging. Sorry.
Okay. I said
Can you
Briz
just-
isn't a bad goaltender. He's the type of goaltender that needs
He
a really
was
good
he
cast
was a
in front of him.
decent goaltender. He came into the league. He started in OKC for a bit, as a tryout. Came up to the league. I can't remember his exact stats with us, but then we ended up trading him because we did not have enough room for him.
And then you get Scrivens, and he has that phenomenal performance against San Jose. That was one of the top moments in his time there. And you also get Victor Foss, who was highly touted in a very brief period of time from Anaheim. I guess, are you satisfied with this goaltender duo, and which one would you rather see be the starter heading into next season?
Heading into next year, I think they'll go through the preseason, see what's up, and after that, it will most likely be Scrivens being 1A and Fast being 1B. But then again, it still depends on training camp and preseason, although preseason doesn't really matter anymore. But I think picking up Victor Fast and Scrivens is a lot better than having Doomnick and LaBarbera. So I wouldn't call those moves bold, but those are pretty good moves.
Okay.
Alrighty, now Dave can continue on with the segment.
Okay, so the next section will be the off season coming up this week. The off season coming up this next couple of months. And the first question is, who do you guys think you're gonna draft tomorrow?
The draft tomorrow is going to be interesting. We have the number 3 pick. I do not think we should move up. What I've heard is there has been discussion about it, but there's no solid offer from the Edmonton Oilers to Florida for it. But if I would say our top 2 priorities in the draft, Ekblad would be ranked first. Draisaitl would be ranked second. Ekblad, everyone here knows that we need a defenseman. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Draisaitl, an interesting player. He'll be the highest drafted German of all time, which would be nice to put in our history books. Not like we have enough. But besides that, Draisaitl is a good physical forward who could help out and be our second liner. Even if Bennett and Sam Reinhart are there, I feel like they would cause trouble with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
But we really need to improve on Gagne. He had a horrible defensive season. So at the 3rd pick, the Edmonton Oilers will most likely select Draisaitl, the dangling Dutch. I can't remember his nickname.
And one of the big things you guys definitely need is more of powerful forwards instead of pure goal scoring forwards, which you guys seem to have plenty of. Like the small forwards, definitely bigger ones are.
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
Okay, but you guys are definitely type of a team that definitely needs more of bigger forwards, like power forward type, instead of the smaller forwards that you guys have.
Yeah, Draisaitl would perfectly fit that. He would be our 1B center. Probably not starting off the year, but at one point in the future, maybe 2 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But he would add a big body. David Perron knows how to hit, which was a great addition by Mac T. Hall, Nugent, Eberle, they're just our bang, bang, bang goal guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yakupov, he's questionable. I think he will stay. I think he will stay, but I think that's the next topic.
Yeah, there is a topic here that says, do you think your team in the future will try to move him before he becomes an RFA?
Uh, this coming up year, or next year, I guess, he's the RFA. I
hmm
don't think we'll move him as an RFA unless he has another bad year. I don't think we'll move him. But at the beginning of the year, I hope to see number 64 back. I liked him in his first year. His second year, I don't know what's wrong with him. It was probably just a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because he's Russian. But I think he'll have a better season in Edmonton this coming up season. And when we sign him next year, he'll probably be making $3 million plus.
hmm Okay. So, besides signing him, within the next couple of years, who do you guys think are going to be signed this year coming up during the off season?
Well, Martin Marincin and Oscar Clefbaum have came up during the season periodically. Martin Marincin, I think, has established himself as a great defenseman who could play defense on a team on the Oilers, which I don't know guys, but to us, it's a defenseman. He's young. He has room to improve. Oscar Clefbaum went 17th overall
hmm
in the Taylor Hall draft, a pick from the LA Kings, and he's also coming up. I think he'll have a good season next year. Same with Martin Marincin, who played on the Slovakian team with Zdeno Chara, a Norris-nominated player, which probably helped him grow so much.
hmm
Um, Darnell Nurse, will he make an appearance next year? Yes. Will it be more than 9 games? Most likely not. I don't think we will have enough room on our squad now that we have signed Nikita Nikitin.
hmm
I don't know how I said his name properly. I'm
I think
going to have to
that was
use
right.
that. With Ferenc Petrie having to be re-signed this year, which will most likely happen, and Justin Schultz having to be re-signed this year, which will most likely happen, and with the Oilers between Mark Fane and Derek Engeland. So between us just recently signing Nikita Nikitin and probably signing someone else like Mark Fane or Derek Engeland, I don't think there will be enough room for Darnell Nurse unless he comes out of the gate looking like a top 4 defenseman.
hmm Okay. So, and one of the last questions I have here, I don't know if Blake has anything else, but it's your coach this year, Dallas. Do you guys think he's
Dallas
gonna
Eakins.
stay after this year? Think you're gonna keep him for another year after this?
If we start off the first 25 games as bad as we did last year, he's gone
hmm
for sure. There's no doubt about it in my mind. If we start off somewhat decent, he'll probably stay the whole year. I think he still has 4 more years on his contract, so trying to get rid of him is going to be kind of hard. I wish we kept Kruger in the squad of head coaches. I think he did perfectly fine because our power play was good for once, and same with our penalty kill. But even if we kept Kruger for 1 more year, and we would have had the chance to sign Bilesma or someone.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Ballsma would do okay with you guys. You guys have the star. You do have the star power that he does need to make his team work. So he could probably do pretty well for you guys.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was just saying how Ballsma could actually work for you guys. That's all it was. No questions,
Yeah,
really.
but I think Bilesma would have been better, but since we are stuck with Dallas Eakins, I don't think we have a chance of getting Bilesma unless he wants to be an assistant coach, which I strongly doubt.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys would want to try to fire a coach this early because you only had him for now. What, going into a second year now? What will it be?
Yes.
So I think that's just too much of a coach turnover for your team. I don't know if
Yeah,
you want to fire him this early.
The players need to learn that they have to play and not rely on the coach so much.
Yeah. Blake, did you have anything else?
Well, there is the looking ahead into next season, which
Yeah, I was wondering about the for the off season? Do you have anything else for that?
I'm good with the off season.
Okay. So, what are you looking forward to this upcoming season for your team?
This off season, I think Gagne might be gone. If not, I will be happy if he's not gone. I personally think that he should stay until Leon Draisaitl is able to fit our team. Then again, we still do not have Leon Draisaitl. But in this next coming off season, I think we just need to improve our defense, and our bottom six. And I think we'll be a good team because our bottom six currently, with Ryan Jones leaving and Ryan Smith leaving, we have like Boyd Gordon, Matt Hendricks, who we got in the Dubnyk trade. Can't remember who else, but we have a thin bottom six, so I would not be surprised if someone like Jay McClement could come in and play for us, since those rumors are swirling high that he has not been in contact with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, so do you guys still think you're going to be at the bottom of the standings?
I think we'll be fighting for a wild card spot, but then again, I did say that last year, and the year before that, and the year before that,
Well,
and I'm pretty sure the year before that. And I'm trying to remember if I said that. I said it like 3,000 years ago too.
So one of the big questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if we have to come out of the season strong, unlike last year where we just sucked literal ass.
So one of the big questions I like asking them is, do you guys think you're going to get Connor McDavid next year? Because he's definitely a prize that could help anybody.
Are you talking about Connor McDavid?
Yeah. Do you think you're going to get him next year?
Most likely not. I think we'll be picking in between somewhere where we picked last year, which was 7th, to where a non-playoff team is picking, which is 12th. So between 7 and 12, I think we'll be picking.
Okay.
And with the fact that we have Nuge as our top-line center and someone who could and possibly Draisaitl, I don't think we'll be drafting another center for a while.
Okay, so.
Now, one
but
question.
Connor McJesus is a good player, and whoever gets him, whether it's Buffalo or the Islanders. Oh wait, the Islanders can't get him. But whether it's Buffalo or Florida, I don't think Florida will go for center. But Buffalo, that's what I'm trying to say. They'll enjoy him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one question I like asking, mainly the non-playoff teams. We'll just throw this one out there kind of for fun, kind of like I did with the in the last segment, in the Calgary segment. Give us a timetable, less than 5 years, less than 10 years, something like that, of when you could see Edmonton being a playoff contender.
When I could see Edmonton being a cup contender, I would say I would give it 5 years. Playoff team, I would say 2 years. President's Trophy, I don't think we'll ever win. But cup contender, if we could somehow, probably within the next 5 years, I would say.
Okay. So, next question is, who do you think is going to be the leading scorer for your team next year?
Well, last year, Taylor Hall finished with 30 goals, 50 assists for 80 points in 77 games. He's the first player since Doug Weight to ever do that on the Oilers. Will I see a repetition of that? Oh, for sure. There's no doubt in my mind that Taylor Hall is and will be our best player and that we've had since our cup run. Who will contend for that? Jordan Eberle could contend for the top scorer. I think him and Eberle are the only two that could possibly be our top goal getters, top assist men. probably Nuge or one of our defensemen like Schultz. But besides that, Hall will for sure be our leading point
Okay.
getter.
And who do you believe is going to be your best all-around player on your team this year?
This previous year?
No, this year coming up.
Oh, like I said, Hall, I think, had a tremendous season with 80 points in less than 80 games.
Mm.
And Hall, I think the Hall Nuge Everlay line will for sure, I think they'll be the top, one of the best 10 lines in the league next year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And say everything just goes to shit. Who do you think is going to be the person that's going to be thrown under the bus for your team?
The person that's going to be thrown under the bus is most likely, can I say a coach?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to, like I said earlier about Mr. Eakins, is, A, he's not letting donuts at the press conferences, which is total bullshit. I want to eat my Tim Hortons, Dallas. Get your shit together. But besides that, I think Dallas Eakins will for sure be thrown under the bus if we do not start off or even have a reasonable season next year. Player-wise, I think I trust our goalies enough. I don't think any of our goalies will be thrown out of the under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
It could possibly be Nugent Hopkins or Yakupov again. Well, Yakupov again possibly, but Nugent Hopkins, I don't think he has established himself as a top-line center in this NHL or even the Pacific Conference.
Mm-hmm.
He's like compared to someone like the Sedins or the Kopitars or who else is in our division? The Duchesnes. Even he's not as good as Kessler even. I would say he's just under Kessler's level, and Kessler's the second line center for Vancouver.
Okay. So, I think that was everything we have for you guys, unless Blake has something else.
No. We are just about ready to wrap this one up here. Dave, if you could perhaps browse the draft order and kind of preview who will be here next week.
Oh god, I should have probably already had that up, shouldn't I? 1 second. Let's go to that random post that we made. Where is it?
We could talk rumors if you want. I could blabber your face off with rumors.
Rumors are always fun.
I hate the off-season rumors. They're quite possibly one of the worst things in the world. Especially since my team is involved in every single one of them. So next week we're going to have the Islanders and the Canucks.
Oh.
Ooh, the Canucks.
Alrighty.
No, that's 2 weeks from now. Next week we're doing the free agency.
Alright.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from now we're
Alrighty.
doing Islanders and Canucks. So,
Right. So thank you for having us.
thanks for joining us,
Yes.
guys.
Once again, we'd like to thank Aiden for joining us, representing the Edmonton Oilers.
Right?
You can find him on Reddit, City of Champs.
Yes, very cliche to the Edmonton Oilers.
And we'd also like to thank,
Bardia.
oh
Thank you,
gosh,
Bardia.
yes,
for joining
Bardia, thank
us.
you,
No problem.
representing the Calgary Flames. And do tell the listeners where we can find you on Reddit.
You can find me with Ezreal Penta on Reddit. And thank you for having us.
We actually
Alrighty.
had something that one of our viewers wanted you guys to do. You guys have something nice to say about each other's teams.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I like the fact that the Oilers have really young, fresh team. They're really fast. I feel really bad. I feel really pissed for saying this, but the Oilers, they have a good, strong power play, and they could have an awesome team with good chemistry, but they need that spark, which I think they can probably get.
And you, Aiden, what do you have nice to say about the Flames?
Something nice?
Yeah,
Should I say something nice or mean?
nice,
Yeah.
nice. It has to be nice.
I can't do it.
Well, you're banned from r/Calgary Flames.
Oh.
I never even scrolled through there.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can't from now on.
I hope Monahan's not a bust.
What was that?
But he most likely is going to be.
Okay, so
All
thank
right.
you again. Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
For all the listeners
and
out there, we are our HockeyCast. You can find us or any of our previous episodes on our subreddit at it's r/r hockeycast. You can go to our website at it's rhockeycast.com, or you can talk to us on Twitter at rhockeycast. I'm Dave, and you can find me at Blinson1 on Twitter, or you can talk to me on Reddit. I'm Blinson on Reddit. And Blake, you can find him on Reddit at btownbomb or on Twitter at shatmykirk. So thanks for joining us.
And I'm a random guy off the street. You might prove this message.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, see ya.